In the meantime, Mark, we have learned that BP did agree this week to set aside $20 billion to pay claims related to the Gulf oil spill. But the president's senior energy advisor has said that amount will likely not be all the oil company ends up paying, and BP currently faces more than 230 lawsuits filed by people as well as people who own businesses. And our Lizzie O'Leary spoke with Darrell Willis, BP's vice president of resources, who's handling the claims process for the company. And here's a sampling of what he had to say about criticisms of BP paying their paying process.
What we didn't want to do was to try to get the process perfect and then pay people. We wanted to pay people and then refine the process.
Now joining us now is Chip Merlin. Chip was one of the first to sue BP, and he represents hotels, fishermen, restaurants, and beach vendors making claims related to the Gulf spill. He previously represented the Port of New Orleans in Hurricane Katrina litigation. Welcome to you. Thanks for joining us here, Chip. So I'm curious first if you'll give me a sense of your experience filing claims and whether or not you've been paid out or your clients have been paid out yet.
Well, our clients, some of our clients have gotten a small amount of money, and that was the problem. In the class actions, we were pushing to get a special master appointed to oversee this, and we're very happy that's exactly what's happened. The big problem is many businesses are getting money too slowly, and they're getting far too little. We hope that the new special master Feinberg is going to help out a lot to speed up getting the money to businesses and people so they don't go broke waiting.
But do you think, though, that it's a positive step that, as we just heard from Darrell Willis, who, by the way, is now handling the claims for BP, and he is the face taking over in the ads and such of the BP disaster and their payouts, that, you know, they just wanted to get some people some money right away before they refine the process. So are you optimistic upon hearing that description, that plan, if you will, that those payments will increase now over time now that they've got a situation, a plan in place?
Well, that's the great news, and certainly getting $5 billion into a trust fund right away this year is going to be very, very helpful. You know, the bad news is that this oil is starting to come down here to South Florida. It's going to be going through the Keys, and while we have great judges down here, Judge Moreno especially handling one of the largest class actions ever, the truth of the matter is to get people the money in businesses, we don't need a whole bunch of lawyers. Instead, what we need is a whole bunch of accountants and economists figuring out what people have lost and getting the money immediately on an interim basis, because this problem's not going to go away just this year. Next year, we could be talking to each other 5 years from now, unfortunately, about a very bad situation.
I want to quickly have you listen to Willis commenting on the status of the claims paid and then get your reaction to that, because there's some bureaucracy, some questions about some of the larger claims.
So of the business claims that have been filed, 90% of them have received some sort of payment towards those claims. In some cases, it's $5,000. In many cases, it's above $5,000. But 90% have been touched.
All right, so 90% have been touched, but for the larger claims, there are challenges. What kind of challenges have you specifically run into?
Well, the biggest problem is on the bigger claims with bigger entities, governmental entities. You almost have to have a economic impact study to go from a broad sense all the way down to exactly how the oil spills impacted them. It's very difficult to analyze when people don't even call up to say that they would have come from Germany to Florida, and they don't even make the reservation. It's a lot easier to figure out if they've canceled, and so there's going to be a lot of very high, complex type of analysis going on from economists trying to figure out exactly what the impact is, what the tax revenue losses to the state of Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama.
And then what about this phrase that's getting a lot of controversial comments on that the claims will be paid in the legitimate claims? That's what I'm getting at. Is it going to be tough to prove that? Like, what's a legitimate claim versus what isn't? The seasonality of a lot of these businesses, that they do all of their revenue earning this time of year.
Well, you've hit a key phrase, and certainly what's going to be legitimate to somebody who's out that money and being able to be proven, and what might be legitimate to BP is two different things. We're hopeful, because of the new system in place, that Mr. Feinberg's going to put some economists and accountants looking at these documents that are being put through, think through the businesses and the governmental entities that have lost money, and get the money to them quicker, finding that they're legitimate and fair, and that's the most important thing. Nobody wants to have fraudulent claims put in, and there has to be documentation to support every single penny being asked for.